Miss Combos with Laura Newseth. Yahoo everyone, and welcome back to Miss Combos with Laura Newseth. I am Laura Newseth, and in today we're going to be reacting to the brand new White Day cards in Project Sekai. So this event is called Connect Heart Message, and it features girls, not guys. So for those of you who don't know the significance of White Day, let me give you some context if you're missing that. So in Japan, Valentine's Day is typically associated as a holiday celebrated by women and girls, where they present chocolate gifts, either store-bought or even more special if it's actually homemade chocolate, to the males that they're interested in. So 1 month later, on March 14th, that happens to be White Day. And if the male that received the chocolate from a girl or woman accepts her feelings, then it's their time to reciprocate those feelings and also give something to them. So in that way, they do complete a heart if they're both on the same page. So with this event, it is differently from last year's event, which also featured girls. But last year we saw the girls in a very androgynous way with very short hair. They essentially look like boys. This year's White Day event, you can still see some of that masculine energy from White Day, but definitely interpreted very differently. So we're going to get to that a little bit later, but let's look at the event synopsis first. The event reads, one day the second-year students at Miyamasuzaka Girls Academy ended up having to participate in business research study, where they would have the opportunity to visit business companies and acquire first-hand experience there. Saki, who's interested in a job that can create happy memories for others, decided to join an event production company together with Emu and Shiho. So the event summary on its own doesn't really read White Day to me, but the train cards definitely do read more White Day, but interpreted very differently from what we've seen in the past. And from what we can see with the event logo, you can see that all of their colors are visibly present in the logo. You have Saki, Emu, and Shiho connecting hearts. So in a way, yeah, there's still a nod to White Day, just again, interpreted differently from what we've seen Project Sekai do in the past. So let's take a look at the first untrained card, which belongs to Saki. And here we have the three girls brainstorming ideas on how they can connect hearts. You have Saki, who looks visibly very concerned and just like, I can tell, a little bit frustrated too, especially by the little the little lines above her head. Like, she just wants to try her best, but clearly something's not working out. Then you have Emu, who has the best facial expression. Like, she just looks like there's 1,000,001 thoughts in her head. Like, she is determined. And judging by everything on the whiteboard, it seems like she has a ton of ideas. There are flowers, there is Fenny. Like, she has so much written on that whiteboard. And then, of course, we cannot see Shiho's facial expression, but she is there and she's actively participating as well. So overall, very cute untrained card, but Emu definitely steals the show. And here we have Saki's trained artwork, and once again, I feel like Saki has become the latest muse for the Project Sekai artists, because lately, I mean this year alone, 2 of her 4-star cards have been absolute works of art. And the first time I saw this image, it instantly brought me to like Greek mythology. It reminded me of deities, like goddesses. Like, there's something just so beautiful about this image. The way this image is composed, the soft lighting, just really, like, it's almost like cascading down Saki, making her look so ethereal and beautiful as well. And then you have the clothing that looks very soft, almost like it does remind me a lot of Greece, like ancient Greece. The hair is also very soft, it also kind of just flows and cascades down Saki as well. So overall, the fact that the focal point is Saki with that angelic glow, it's such a beautiful, stunning image. But I do have to point out, Saki is portrayed as a bull, and typically bulls are males. I think the decision of making Saki be portrayed by a bull definitely was heavily inspired by her astrological sign, which is a Taurus, and Tauruses are portrayed by bulls. Bulls are typically an animal that are very much associated with male energy, stamina, endurance, protection, and aggression, but they're an animal that signifies a lot of strength. And in a lot of ancient religions, like bulls were very much associated with their physical and emotional strength and power. Now, if we look at astrology, the Taurus sign is an earth sign, which has the ability to remain grounded and have a very realistic perspective on life. And I feel like Saki, due to her background, does have a very grounded and realistic perspective on life. Like, she doesn't take life for granted. I think it was definitely a very interesting decision to have Saki portrayed as a bull in this card, especially since a lot of people do think of Saki as this fragile character that needs to be protected, and in this case there's so much power in her beauty and grace in this card, and I feel like it does comment on how powerful femininity can truly be. I'm sensing a lot of divine femininity in this card, like maybe that was a very big source of inspiration. And for those of you who are not familiar with the whole concept of divine femininity, it's kind of like, how do I explain this? So it is taking power in these traits that are often seen as quote unquote feminine and finding ways to be empowered by it. Traits like being nurturing and caring and compassionate and having empathy, and learning to appreciate all of these traits kind of helps a lot of women find a sense of balanced perspective, because a lot of the world around us does lean more towards idolizing and appreciating male energies. So I know I said this many times in this little segment, but I do feel like it's very interesting that Saki was portrayed in this manner, considering all of her stories that we've seen in the game, how her health and her condition often held her back. And I feel like we are seeing this epiphany with Saki, where she finds that she has control over her life and not her past controlling her life. So yeah, I feel like it's very appropriate for Saki and how she's feeling at this point in the storyline. Definitely let me know how you're interpreting this card specifically in the comments below. Next up, we have Emu, who has the brightest, happiest smile. I love her so much. She's just she's so cute. I swear, whenever I see people criticize Emu and just not even give her crap, make her sound like she is, I don't know, very one-dimensional, I can immediately tell that they haven't read the story and they can't really read between the lines. Yes, Emu is a very optimistic person, someone who wants to make others smile, but there is a lot of pain and she's constantly being put down by even people around her, like her family members. So I feel like often Emu just doesn't get the credit that I feel like she deserves as a character within this game. So yeah, there's my little rant about her, but this card itself, absolutely precious. I think it's so cute. And here we have the trained artwork, and the first thing that came to mind, Iron Mouse. Is this you? This just reminded me so much of Mousy, but I mean, apart from that, I think the card is really cute. Obviously, Emu is portrayed as a mouse, and the mouse is not part of the astrological signs, but it is part of the Chinese zodiac. So I thought it would be kind of cool to look into what mice symbolize in Chinese culture. So in Chinese culture, the mouse is associated with cleverness and ingenuity, and I feel like those are two traits that I can definitely see in Emu. Another thing that stood out when I was doing my research for this video was that in European folklore, a lot of times mice are the embodiment of appreciating what you have in life and making the best out of any circumstance. And I feel like those two things are perfect embodiments of what Emu tries to do. She truly tries to make the best out of any circumstance and does appreciate anything that she currently has. So in contrast to Saki's card, I don't see so much of that divine femininity in Emu's card, but I do see a lot of power displayed in different ways. Like right here, she's essentially being the general or the leader in this little like army that she has. So our little Emu is has a much bigger and more commanding voice than a lot of people give her credit for. And the last 4-star card belongs to Rin, and here she is with MEIKO, both of them in their Leonid forms. And as you can see from this scene, you have MEIKO basically just kind of downplaying Rin because she's so cute. And Rin does look very cute, but I feel like I can sense some frustration, like Rin trying to prove herself to be worthy or powerful or strong enough. And everyone else around her kind of just sees her as like a small, fragile, cute kid. So, and this will come to play when we get to the trained artwork, because I feel like these two cards do tell a story. Here we have the trained artwork, and here you can see Rin at her full potential. Like, she has no one holding her back. She's literally lunging forward. I did have to like look into the ram and see if there was maybe any type of association with the astrological sign, but Rin's anniversary is on the 27th of December, which would make her also a Capricorn, just like Shiho, and we'll get to Shiho in just a little bit. So I don't think the association is necessarily with the astrological sign itself, but we can definitely look into the animal symbolism for the ram, because there's definitely a lot. So rams are often associated with traits such as determination, strength, leadership, also power and dominance as well. And I feel like in the context of having Rin portrayed as a ram, it's her way of trying to prove to others that she is much stronger than people give her credit for. And you can definitely see that in her facial expression. You can see her brows are furrowed. She is most likely either screaming or grunting as she's literally, and you can see this whole image itself has so much action and it's so dynamic. Like, she's literally running upstairs, lunging forward. Like, I don't know about you, but running upstairs and almost in a battle stance, like, that takes a lot of strength. To me, this whole scene is playing out like a battle, and I have seen a lot of people critiquing this card, saying that it looks very simple. It looks like a 3-star card. And objectively, I have to disagree, because there's so much going on with this card. Just looking at the background itself, if you look at the top left, that is a building that is decaying, which means in my head that she is in battle. So she's trying to flee to the top of this tower to fight whatever enemy. And even from the floor itself, like, she is moving at such a high pace. Like, you can see from the steps themselves are blurry. I also find the use of shadow and light in this image very interesting, because her face is extremely well lit. Like, it's almost kind of reminds me of the Saki card, where you see this divine femininity being highlighted in a way. Also, the spear itself looks very shiny as well, like it's almost signifying that it is going to be used. So overall, this image just portrays Rin in a much more powerful and strong way, especially in comparison to past Rin cards. In a lot of the Project Sekai cards, Rin is portrayed as very childlike, so to see her kind of take ownership of her strength is very refreshing. Also, one little gripe that I have with people saying that 4-star cards look like 3-star cards and imply a negative connotation to that. I feel like it's very dismissive of what the artist at Colorful Palette are trying to do. We have seen them actually explain the reasonings behind 3-star cards, and from what I have seen from interviews, they put in the same love and effort and thought into 3-star cards as they do with the 4-star cards. And from what we have seen, especially the last year and a half, the 3-star cards also tell a story. They're also detailed and beautiful. So for fans to go ahead and start using that to put down a card artwork because it doesn't, I guess, measure up to their ideal 4-star card standards is just kind of odd. I feel like we should be thankful that 3-star cards have improved so much and are very beautiful in themselves, because for the free-to-play players, at least you have a guaranteed card that is stunning. Not everyone has the crystals or will spend the money to buy crystals in order to get every single 4-star card. So in a way, it's just very kind of a weird way to put down a card artwork. Now moving on to the 3-star card, we have Shiho's Untrained card, which is another very adorable moment frozen in time. You have Emu, who is ready to give Shiho the biggest hug ever. You have Saki, who looks super happy, and then Shiho just trying to take it all in. I can tell that she's a little bit overwhelmed and she is blushing, which, I mean, the blush looks absolutely adorable. I do feel like this is an instance of an introvert just not knowing how to reciprocate that love and energy when you're surrounded by two very loving extroverts. Overall, I think this moment is just super cute. And now let's look at Shiho's trained artwork, and I do have to agree with a lot of people online. This is an incredible 3-star card, and it definitely does look like a 4-star card, although I've been saying that a lot of 3-star cards look like 4-star cards in the past year and a half, like I mentioned earlier. I do think that this card is truly beautiful. I love the way it's composed, the lighting, the scenery is also super. It just looks like Greek mythology. It's amazing. And much like Saki's card, I do think that Shiho's card was heavily inspired by astrology as well. Shiho is a Capricorn born on January 8th, and the symbols for the Capricorn sign are goats. Just to go into astrology very little, Capricorn is a sign that represents time and responsibility. They're also the individuals that are Capricorn tend to be very serious in nature, very work driven, and they also have a lot of self-control. All of those traits which really do kind of correlate with Shiho as a character within Project Sekai. Also, just like Saki's sign, which is a Taurus, Capricorns are also an element of Earth, so they tend to be very grounded individuals. And actually, talking about Saki, there is a lot we can discuss about these two cards, because I feel like they're definitely meant to be a pair when you're looking at the cards as a whole set. So here we have the cards side by side, and before I even go further into this little tangent, I do want to make a note that I'm not commenting on these two characters as a romantic ship. You can definitely ship them if you want to, there's nothing wrong with that. But when I'm commenting on compatibility and how they're truly opposites attract, it can definitely be in a platonic way. I mean, they're friends and they're also bandmates. They need to be compatible in some sort of way. So I just wanted to make that clear. So let's actually look into the card itself, because you can see that there are two contrasting images that are meant to be together. So we have Shiho in the outside. The whole card is much more lighter in colors. Shiho herself is also much more covered and more androgynous than Saki. Saki seems to be kind of locked away in a very dark and secluded place. She's also wearing much more revealing clothes in this context. Also, the color palettes are complete opposites. opposite, you have Shiho's card, which plays up those airy blue and greenish tones, and Saki's looks a lot more grounded and warm as well. Now, if we can talk about the astrology side a little bit, we already established that Saki is a Taurus, Shiho is a Capricorn, and let's kind of look into their whole compatibility because they're both earth signs, so that means that they would both be very grounded individuals. So in astrology, earth signs tend to be very attracted to one another, and they tend to be very compatible in that way. They're both very hardworking, which is true in the case of Shiho and Saki, but with Capricorns, they tend to be a lot more stubborn and very work oriented. They're driven by their ambition, which definitely I feel like describes Shiho very well, as opposed to Tauruses, who are also very hardworking, but they like feeling a sense of security and comfort. So while there are some clear differences in the way they both work, they tend to just be very stable when together. And I feel like they both kind of have this codependency where they need and also can appreciate each other's traits. And in that way, they kind of just, they're good at communicating with one another and can be very flexible and achieve their common goals. So that's to say that these two cards, I love the fact that they do tell a story separately, but also when you see them side by side, you can clearly, very clearly see that the artist's intentions were to portray these two as a pair, whether you see them as a romantic pair, platonic pair, or just bandmates. They still have traits that the other one doesn't have. So when they're together, it's almost like you have two halves of a heart coming together as one whole, which kind of goes with the whole event theme. And I will have to say, I really like the way the artist reinterpreted the theme of White Day, because although we don't have any of the male characters in this story, I feel like in this context, it is Shiho accepting Saki's feelings and just being more honest about how she appreciates Saki as a friend, as a bandmate, and just as, her own person. It's beautiful to be able to appreciate other people in your life. So those are my 2 cents. I feel like this 3-star card is absolutely stunning. And the last card belongs to MEIKO. This is the 2-star card. And here we have MEIKO portrayed as a chinchilla or chinchilla. I tried to search high and low in my research to see if there was any sort of significance with this animal, and the chinchilla is not part of the Chinese zodiac. It is not part of astrology. The only thing I could find was the significance to Peruvian people, since these animals are native to the high mountain tops of Peru. So the only thing I was able to find is that chinchillas are soft and have adorable facial features, which I feel like MEIKO is also very adorable. But the fact that such a small and cute animal can live in the high mountain tops, a lot of people do see that as traits that even someone who is uniquely small and fluffy can persevere in such high places. Another thing that I did read was, since these animals do live in such high altitudes, they're known to be very adaptable. So maybe that says something about how MEIKO is adaptable. I'm not sure. I mean, it's very hard to kind of tell a whole story when the 2-star card itself is... This one is the most plain. I will have to say I do like the ears, the tail is also adorable, and the outfit's really cute as well, but it's just a little hard when the animal truly doesn't have a whole lot of Greek mythology or any other folklore attached to it. So this is our White Day 2025 set. What do you guys think of it? Let me know in the comments, and let me know how you're interpreting this whole theme, the cards themselves. I really enjoy hearing your guys' input as much as I get to share my own input. I have to say I really like this card set. I like the fact that they didn't really skew like they did last year. Like they didn't rely so much on obviously masculine traits like short hair and having the girls dressed up as knights, while the masculine traits are still visible in this card set. I mean, with the animal horns themselves, those are very masculine traits, but I do like that the artists are kind of the way I'm interpreting these is that they're appreciating the power of feminine traits and also saying like, hey, these are as valuable as the male traits that people tend to admire. So this whole divine femininity, I'm going back to that. I really do like seeing this in a White Day set. If I had to pick a favorite card, definitely the Saki card is absolutely stunning, but I also quite like the Shiho card and the Rin card as well. I feel like those three specifically, I get a whole story just looking at those cards. So yeah, as a set, I feel like this is stunning. Let me know your favorite in the comments, and if you're brand new, make sure to subscribe to my channel. If you're pulling, I wish you the best of luck. I hope you get the cards that you want, because the hair, I saw the hair models, amazing. The outfits also look amazing. So overall, I feel like this whole set, from the cards to the outfits and the limited hair, they just did a superb job in my opinion. So yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you very soon in my next video, and hopefully next time I should sound a lot better. I feel like I'm slowly getting better, but like, dude, it's been a week. It's been a week for me. Alright, see you guys next time. Bye bye!